Hey everybody, Kellin here. Shedding bebop is all about slow, focused repetition, connecting ideas through real harmonic movement. Let's define what bebop is first. Bebop is the sound of 1940s jazz, fast, harmonically rich, and full of forward motion. It's built around chromaticism, enclosures, voice leading, and rhythmic variation. All of those little details make the lines weave smoothly through all of the changes. When you understand these building blocks, you're not just learning licks, you're learning the jazz language that improvisation is built on. And in this video, I want to share something really special, our brand new Bebop Bootcamp from Jazz Lesson Videos. This course is all about helping you build real bebop fluency, step by step, by using the same techniques and tunes that bebop legends such as Charlie Parker, Dizzy Gillespie, and Bud Powell used. So if you're ready to take your playing deeper and start speaking the bebop language, let's jump right in. One of the first concepts that we're going to be learning about is chromaticism, and it's actually really simple. It's just the use of notes outside of the diatonic scale. So a diatonic scale is just your typical major scale, but I'm sure a lot of you have practiced your chromatic scales, and all of those chromatic notes are a part of chromaticism. Bebop would not be bebop without chromatics. Every single bebop legend uses chromatic notes as passing tones in enclosures, which we're going to talk about in a second, but it's a very integral part to bebop. Using chromatic notes help us create more color, tension in our solos, and they also help us with movement and voice leading, which we'll also talk about in a second. A word that you heard me mention just a moment ago, enclosures. That's another concept that we're going to be talking about. An enclosure is basically when you have a target note and you approach it from above and below. So for example, if my target note is a G in the staff, I'm going to play the A flat above it and the G flat below it so that the G is right in the center. And it sounds like this. So using enclosures helps you get kind of out of that diatonic sound. It's very influenced by amazing bebop artists such as Dizzy Gillespie. To show you the difference, I'm going to play you a diatonic 2-5-1 lick, and we're going to compare it to another 2-5-1 lick that has enclosures in it. Here's a similar line, but this time using enclosures. You can see just by adding those chromatic notes, that line automatically has a little bit more color. To better understand enclosures and to train your fingers to kind of feel that chromatic movement, I've created this exercise that chromatically goes up the scale but uses enclosures along the way. Listen to this and see if you can copy me. That exercise is a good pattern to learn just to get your fingers used to that kind of movement, and I would highly suggest that you learn it both forwards and backwards. It's also helpful to put enclosures around each of the scale tones of your major scales. For example, I'll play one for you in concert B flat right now. If you use that chromatic and major scale exercise and put them through all 12 keys, you'll be so good to go. So the next concept that we're going to talk about are bebop scales. If you haven't heard of these, there's three main ones that I use, and it's basically taking a major scale, a minor scale, or a dominant scale and adding a chromatic passing tone into it, so it becomes an 8-note scale instead of 7. So first we have the major bebop scale. The major bebop scale adds in a flat 6 or a sharp 5, depending on how you're thinking about it. So first, let me just play you a concert B flat scale so we can hear how a normal major scale goes. And now adding in that flat 6 sharp 5, here's what the major bebop scale sounds like. Adding in a chromatic passing tone or an 8th note to this scale in context helps you put the chord tones on all of the downbeats of each bar. And this also applies to dominant and minor bebop scales. Moving on to the dominant bebop scale, it's a little bit different. Instead of adding a flat 6 or sharp 5, we're just adding the flat 7. So in this scale, you'll have a flat and a natural 7. It sounds something like this. And the minor bebop scale is basically the same thing, except this time you add a flat 3. A great way to practice these is this exercise that I'm about to show you. It basically goes through the bebop scale in thirds, and you can move this up and down and do it in all 12 keys, but it's really, really helpful, and it kind of all flows into each other. That exercise utilized the dominant bebop scale, but you can do the same exercise with the other two bebop scales that I mentioned previously. So the tune that we're going to look at right now is Charlie Parker's Ornithology. And this head has some really, really great call and response phrases. So let's look at the melody from a phrase perspective. Each phrase is honestly like a really, really cool line on its own, so we can just go line by line. The tune starts out right off the bat with a really, really killer line. And then soon after, it's met by its response, which is... So before we move on, let's just look at the two lines that we just listened to. That first line, I'm not even going to play it on my horn until I can sing it and know the pitches and be able to accurately hit those pitches with my voice. Once that is fully internalized with your voice, then you can move it to the horn. And if the speed is difficult for you at first, that's fine. Play it 10 times slow. Play it until you could wake up in the middle of the night and jump right up and play it, coming out of your sleep, and then move on to the next phrase. So now I'm going to play a solo over Ornithology, implementing all of the techniques that we talked about in this module. So thanks so much for checking out this video, and don't forget to use code BOOTCAMP25 for $25 off this course.